Hello. So this is part 2 of the course, How to Be a Change Leader. In part 1, we talked about an overview of the course and the Kubler-Ross grief curve, which is the change curve, and then the 7 skills required to lead and manage change well. So in part 2, we're going to cover setting expectations about change with your teams, and also how to create a vision that achieves buy-in. 2 very, very important things to start off with when you're managing a new change. Start out defining table stakes, because it provides a great analogy here. A table stake is the minimum offering that is acceptable to compete in the market. If you've seen me speak before, you have heard me talk about table stakes. Table stakes stay constant, but how you manage them based on your role varies and is different. What's important about establishing expectations, or table stakes, is that today more and more organizations are building change management capabilities internally to manage change well. You must do this too. With the fast pace of change, you don't have a choice really. Now more than ever, the table stakes are high. So what is it that you can do to establish your team's expectations and what they should go through during change? Start with establishing a set of beliefs and values that you will work by, even if it's just your own team, or maybe you can impact a larger area of your business. This is so important. So I outlined a handful of powerful thought starters for you here. I'm going to read through these, and I want you to think about how these feel, because change management is about the soft stuff, which is really hard. Change is normal here. Change is hard, and resistance is normal too, and it's not going to be punitive. I can have resistance as part of the team, and it'll be okay. I won't be looked at differently. Change brings good things for the organization and my individual growth. Being change hardy is a skill I know I can cultivate and master. My leaders train us on how we will manage change and what I can expect. I can find ways to make change my own and take control. Collaboration is an expectation. Continual improvement is an expectation. I will be trained on changes so that I can learn the new skills and adapt. Think about it. If your leader believed all of this and you could count on it, wouldn't it make changes in the workplace a bit easier to digest? Would it build trust for you? Regardless of your current work environment, the good, the bad, the not so pretty, think about it. If you started behaving in these ways, what impact could you have on your organization? Whether you're a leader of people or an individual contributor. I know it is powerful, and I've seen it happen. It just takes one person to start. Once you have defined what you and your team want to live by, make sure you meet to discuss why you're excited about implementing it and what's in it for them. As you communicate to them, give the team permission to hold each other accountable. Make sure you give them the opportunity to come up with these ideas on their own and weave them into the fabric of your day-to-day and are working as a team. Some ideas are listed here, of course, if your team starts to struggle with how to get started here in the accelerator, the green section on the slide. But what's so important is that they decide how they're going to hold each other accountable. This garners buy-in, and they will be more apt to adopt the changes you're initiating. See what I did there? You are initiating change already and utilizing good change leader techniques. So take action today. Which one can you implement now? And don't forget, you can't do everything, but you can do something. Okay, so next we're going to talk about creating a change vision. Again, you may have heard me speak about this before if you've heard my other classes. I talk a lot about vision and buy-in. For today's purposes, though, we're going to talk specifically about what makes a good vision and a good case for change and how to build it. You'll find yourself engaged in many types of change efforts and playing different roles over your career. You'll always want to be able to create a vision that gets you buy-in to accomplish whatever change you or the organization decide is needed. This will help unify your team to move ideas forward and make progress together too. Strategic change doesn't happen on its own. Change leaders guide that process from the very beginning all the way through the finish line. As an individual contributor, your job is to make sure that you know what's in it for yourself. If the reason for change includes only what's good for the organization, then it's missing why it's good for the people who make up the organization. Make sure you offer examples, though, of what the vision needs to add to address what's in it for you. I cannot recall all the times I've had to ask that question of executive level leaders specifically, because rightfully so, they're very focused on the success of the organization, and a lot of that is in making the numbers every day. Thank goodness for that. They keep the ship afloat. They avoid obstacles, and they keep it moving. But as they know, there is more to captaining a ship. They must keep morale high. So I encourage you, as an individual contributor, ask the dumb questions. Ask the self-serving questions here at this moment about vision and buy-in and why you need to change. What's in it for you? Why do you want to support it? Then offer those solutions that you come up and think of. As you build this vision and case for change, it is super important to be aware that you are on your own change journey and you are far ahead of everyone else in the changes that you want to see happen. People will be starting their change journey once you introduce change to them. So you're going to be farther along on the curve than they are. Remember that as people move through the change curve, they need information. People get stuck typically because they don't understand why things are changing, why they need to change, and they have a ton of questions that come up that aren't getting answered typically in the beginning, and that's normal. Your job as a change leader or an individual contributor is to move people through the curve, and how do you help them? So let's talk about first the case for change, the what. You want to explain why the change is needed now. Creating urgency is the most important. Otherwise, your changes are going to fall behind on everyone else's change initiatives because there are so many happening today at the same time. You want to describe the benefit and the desired outcome, so make sure they know what success will look like. Describe how you will implement the changes and expected timelines as well. And then the best length that I have seen for a case for change that I build typically with leaders is 5 to 6 slides at the most. Oh, and also describe at a very high level what changes will happen and who will be impacted. That's also important because people want to know, am I impacted or not? Do I need to worry about this? Now, make it compelling. This is the how. This is the differentiators here. Can you contrast the current environment to what the future will be and get people excited about that? Contrasting is very, very powerful. Can you make the problem visual that you have today and how your changes are going to make it better? You want to engage emotions too. I'll tell you a little secret. At the beginning of this course, I was hoping to engage your emotions and inspire you to be a better change leader and picture a future with your teams and inspire that vision when we got started. It was only a few sentences, but that was my goal, was to draw you in and get you excited about what you can do to make a difference as a change leader. So you want to draw emotions in because people typically make decisions on emotions. We're discovering that more and more as neuroscience, more research happens there. So draw in the emotion of it and get people excited. And then try to paint a picture of the future if you can, including what changes what changes and what stays the same, because people are always interested too in what stays the same. So that is how to create a vision, how to achieve buy-in, and some of the ways to make it interesting and impactful to people to want to buy in and to want to support your change and to want to believe in it.